What's cracking, fools? Welcome back, homie, to another episode of Flyboy Inc., homie. Food news broadcast in the house, homie. Shout out American Cholo and all you sick ass fools, homie, all around the Fooniverse. Right here, chilling with your homeboy Flyboy Inc., homie. And today, I'm honored. First of all, I want to say thank you to American Cholo, homie, for giving me another platform here on his podcast. So shout out to that fool, Holmes. But I want to say that I got a real special lineup today, Holmes. I got my homegirl for many, many years. My homegirl Sonia G is in the house, homie. So I got my homeboy Ernie in the house. Pomona is definitely in the house today, homie. We're all from the city. And we're all from close generations. So thank you to American Cholo, homie, for putting us on, and thank you guys for showing up all the way out here in the valley, homie. I know it's far from where we're from, but shout out to you guys, homie. Welcome to Food News Broadcast.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Ahmed, for having us, and thank you, American Cholo, for having us on. It's a pleasure to be here. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Likewise, thank you. Yes, I appreciate the experience, right?
Let's talk right into the mic if you can, Ernie.
It's a new venue, right?
There you
it's
go.
a new opportunity. So yeah, I appreciate the. It's interesting.
Have you been on a podcast before, Ernie?
No,
This is your
my
first time.
Yes.
And Sonia, I know you have a podcast of your own.
I
And we'll
do.
talk about that later. But have you been? Your podcast is just audio. So have
Yeah.
you been on a video?
Not like this.
Okay.
So yeah, this is my first time, guys. So I'm a little nervous, but that's okay.
Well,
We're working
welcome,
through it.
welcome, homie, and I'm glad that the first time was on my podcast or
Yes.
I like to say broadcast. So welcome both of you, homie, to Food News Network broadcast, homie.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
Thank you,
Man, the city really done. Look at the city now.
Pomona.
All you fools from Pomona out there, homie. My homie Ernie's from Pomona. My homegirl Sonia's from Pomona. I'm from the city, dog. So, first and foremost, dog. Damn, I'm honored. I'm honored. So, Sonia, tell us a little bit about what you do. We'll start with you since you're,
Yeah. Well, I'm a licensed psychotherapist.
Okay.
So I do therapy. I'm a LCSW, so that's a licensed clinical social worker. So my focus is mental health.
Okay. Shout out to that.
Yeah. So everybody needs therapy.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
I need therapy.
Hashtag.
Yeah, we all
You
need therapy. So I do that. Recently, I have my virtual private practice, which is growing. I specialize in brain spotting, which is a body brain based technique, which is very helpful in healing like deeper trauma.
Oh, you
The
go
brain
deep. You go deep.
Yeah. We kind of try to get to the root of the problem through this technique. So I've become really passionate about it.
Yeah. So I know Sonia since ninth grade, homie. For all you fools out there, you wonder how I know this, how I know. I wrote a song called La Sonia, and so this is La Sonia right here. So all you fools, in case you weren't knowing, well now you know.
And
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I don't have 5 baby daddies either.
No, no. She don't.
And I don't
She
do
got
the
six.
what? The
No, just
bolsita?
Yeah. You know what? And you know what? Thank you for being such a good sport because that
You're
song. Let's just talk about La Sonia for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I got this song, my number one song, my first song, La Sonia, and it's still viral to this day, Holmes. And I wrote. Sonia came into my life many years later. We're friends since ninth grade. I know her family. We have a real strong connection. And then when I got out of prison and I finally cleaned up my life and I started, after my divorce and I kind of started coming out here, I went on that podcast, Indicted. Shout out to Negra, homie, and Sonia seen that, and a lot of people from Pomona seen that podcast, and she reached out to me, and you were a little scared at first. Not scared, I would say. You were a little concerned whether you should reach out to me or not, right?
Well, yeah, just because, you were friends with.
Yeah, not only that, but what we've been through, and a lot of our homeboys that you know a lot of my homeboys, and a lot of the homies didn't make it out too good, huh?
Right.
A lot of fools are stuck on stupid. A lot of fools are smoked out. A lot of fools are burnt out. And so, what did you say when you finally, like, what happened? How did you get back in contact?
So when I saw you want to indict it, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow, he's changed. He's done some work, like this is good. And I loved your authenticity and how
Yeah.
real you were. You can tell on people, right?
So you could tell when somebody's faking the funk?
Oh yeah, totally.
Serio? Yeah, I think I can
Definitely.
too.
Yeah, can
Yeah.
you?
Definitely. You give somebody enough time, they're going to tell you who they are.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They don't have to speak. Sometimes you just feel it, right?
How long, what would you say is the average, you being a therapist, so you deal with people's emotions, you see what they're like. How long does it take before you can tell somebody's full of shit? Straight up. That's
a
an honest
good
question.
Sometimes right away. Like
Yeah?
sometimes instantly. Yeah. It's
Like-
pretty easy.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
A minute, like right as soon as they open their mouth?
Yeah, there's different ones though, right? That know how to play
Lay it on
the
thick.
system and play really well.
How to bullshit is what
Yeah.
it's
They're manipulators.
exactly.
Very,
what it is.
they're very
They
manipulative.
know how to game the system.
Yeah.
Exactly. And even those you can easily, after many years of practice, you can easily pick up on them. But yeah, it's you.
What'd
get
you
used
get
to
from me when
it.
you first see me, fool? When you're like, let me talk to this fool. And once I open my mouth, and you're like, is this fool full of shit on camera? Is he really the same way, like in real life?
I'm still assessing you.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, hey, yeah, he looks like he has moments of clarity.
Yeah.
No, I'm not
I'm
gonna
still
lie.
assessing.
I'm glad that you assess me still because I still break down.
And you know what? And
I
that's
break down
why-
like at least I'm average at least once a month. A good little breakdown.
Yeah. By the way, I'm not his therapist.
She's not.
Disclaimer,
She's
right?
my homegirl.
I check in with him a lot. I love him. He's my good friend. And
We're like brother and sister, bro. Straight
Yeah.
up.
When you say breakdown, what exactly do you mean? Could you clarify for us?
Oh.
You want me
Okay,
to start
yeah.
pop locking right now? Yeah, break it down for you. No, you know what, homie? Like I think I talked about it the last time we were here. Excuse me, Sonia, and I think when I say breakdown, I mean that the internet sometimes, like when you, no matter how big and bad you think you are, sometimes the internet affects us differently, and you gotta learn how to maneuver in this. You gotta stay in your lane, and sometimes the lines get a little foggy, and when you're not equipped, that's where you slip up. You know what I'm saying? When you're not equipped, you tend to slip. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's and I haven't came close to slipping. It ain't nothing like that. It's just like, damn, it's reevaluating hurts, homie. Sonia,
you're talking
right?
about, so like clarify breakdown. We're not talking about he gets suicidal or anything
No,
like
no,
that,
no,
guys.
no,
We're
never.
talking about just
I'm talking like when you hit a real crossroads and you don't know whether to turn left or right, and like either one's scary because you can't see you can't see that far down the road, homie. And it's like, fuck, what do I do? And that scares me because I don't know if it's because sometimes I try to blame everything on my foster care. I try to blame everything on prison. I try to blame everything on not having like, but okay, it's not about that. Like, why does shit still scare me, bro?
Well, a lot of it is trauma.
You think so,
Of course.
Miss Therapist?
Of course. A lot of it is still trauma, that
Yeah.
you're working through, but not just that. Like, Ahmed, you have all these people,
Yeah.
like, who follow you,
Yeah.
right, and want to take pictures and stuff. And so you're talking about energy that's coming towards you and people sending you, like, speaking badly, negatively on you. So all of that will affect you. I mean, it does impact, right? I mean, when eventually we get to a point where it's like, it doesn't phase you. You know who you are, and it doesn't really bother you what anybody else says. But
You know what? I act so hard, I don't. It don't bother me. Like I don't give a fuck, right? And 9 out of 10, I really don't. But there's still that one little percent, or that little 10% that, like, of course, I want to be liked. If
Yeah.
I wouldn't be on the internet trying to fucking gain all these followers and all these viewers and all these fucking moments and show you fools my life, if I wasn't sitting here trying to be liked.
right.
If I wasn't, it's not cloud chasing. It's just like, hey, homie, my life matters. I fucking spent 18 years of my life, nobody fucking giving two shits about me. So I'm gonna make you motherfuckers at least know my name at the very least. You might not give a fuck, but at least you know who the fuck I am. And that's why I do what I do.
You know,
That's
it's
it.
interesting because I think there's more people that go through that than is acknowledged.
Yep.
So the fact that you're speaking on it, speaks volumes, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I think even a lot of us growing up don't look for the help, right?
Yeah.
You know, we want to take we want to take the world on, on our terms, and we did it right. Only to look back later and it's like, damn, that was the wrong turn. I got to turn around, do a U-turn and fix shit, and then get back on back on the road.
Yeah.
Right. So right now that you're saying that, and it says, yeah, because I mean, I know even speaking like for myself and like things that I went through in the past, I had to sit there and really search for things. But one thing that I will tell you that I've never cared about what someone thought about me that didn't give a crap about me.
That's right.
I'm not going to give you that
Yeah,
space.
that's fact.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to
Yes.
give you that space. You know, and if I
Yeah.
truly believe in something, I don't care who likes it or doesn't, I'm going to push. But mind you, as long as I'm being positive, constructive, and productive, right? I'm not going to care about what the next person has to say. However, I will when it comes to my love with my friends and those that are closest to me. You know, if I need to explain things to them because they're not really understanding my vision and what I'm doing, I'll take the time, not because I have to, but because there's love there.
Right.
And
Yeah.
in that process, you might
Love.
also
Let's touch
Yeah.
on that, and that's the reason why. You know what, homie? Like a lot of people have these different broadcasts about or podcasts about who's the hypest motherfucker out here, who's the dopest fool with the most like, who's generating the most this, who's the best rapper, This ain't about that.
Right.
Food news is not about who's the best or who's the highest or who's homie. Right here is what can we do to help the people who are the lowest? How can we help the people who feel the most fucked up? Because there's a lot of us out here that have some real trauma.
Man,
And I don't want these people. I could give a fuck about flying to another state because fools are putting me on a marquee somewhere. Who cares? All I need is right here, right now with a therapist and my homeboy that did 31 years in prison, changed his life around, and now he's part of one of the biggest nonprofits down in South Central LA, homie.
That's
Scope,
right.
LA. So that's what Food News is about. If anything, it's about building us up, not exposing the local tweaker and embarrassing him because he's got problems. It's not about filming drunk midgets over there doing cartwheels because they need help. It is not about putting people sniffing balloons and saying, you know, everybody go wild. Nah, homie, don't go wild. Fix yourself. Hashtag, you need therapy, homie.
that's real.
And that's why we're here.
Working from a place of integrity, that's different. There's
Oh,
a lot
definitely.
of people that don't work from a place of, of integrity.
Definitely. You know, so I mean, in my experience, you know, there's a lot of individuals that have yet to even learn what their character is, right?
Yep.
They've masked it with so many things. They've masked it with certain fronts. You know, they try to be who the next person wants them to be, who they think they should be, right? And that's a disservice to themselves and us. But like you said, but speaking about trauma, right? So let's look at that individually. Yeah, there's a lot of us that are coming together now that are seeing it. They're saying, like, you know what? Let's
Yeah.
work on ourselves and let's work through things, right? Because I had to work through a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And
To
mainly
get
like
to where
look,
you're at now.
yeah, and I agree. Look, the system wasn't designed for us. Let's keep it for what it is.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
It wasn't designed for us. Things are changing and have changed, but there's a lot of work to be done because there's, you know, and I'm not saying it's everyone, but there's a group, you know, of I call it the good old boy club that would rather have us chasing crumbs, you know, and working for them and this little menial jobs and all, right? And having us accept it like it's normal, like it's okay. That's our lot in life. That's
A
not
lot
what
of
it
the things
is.
that some of us
Right.
or a lot of our community doesn't understand is generational wealth.
Bingo. Right?
Generational wealth. Look, Google that shit. If you don't know what it means, Google it.
So look. So this is one of the things that we talk about, you know, in the space that I work in, that you know you have some individuals that controlled the economy and the big corporations for so long that while they're thinking ahead and planning years ahead and also like giving back to their children, you know, when it comes to us, the people like people of color, Hispanics and all, what's it called? We're thinking, you know, about what we're going to plan for Saturday because we don't have that kind of money. We don't have that kind of opportunities for the most part. I mean, yes, ground, like I said, you know, there's grounds being broken where you have a lot, you know, more individuals, you know, getting there, but it's the exception, not the rule. We should be making it the
Well,
rule, right?
You know what? It's like this, homie. Us as Mexican Americans, and I said this, and we're the fastest growing population in the state, right?
Well, truth be told, look.
So
So
why
when
are
you
they-
when we do our history, okay. So the politics come from the east this way, right? Because it's always been from the colonies this way. They annexed these lands, right? That were, you know, historically Mexico's, right? So I tell people, we didn't cross the border crossed us.
Yeah, we've heard
You know,
that
a lot of us
before.
a lot of us had family members already here. And obviously, individuals at the time that were running the country did not care to honor the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. So a lot of our people lost properties, got killed for their properties, and you name it, it happened, right? So here we are today. You know, we all, you know, you have so many individuals, you know, doing the best they can for themselves. But the day that we also learn to come together collectively and strategically, then we're going to be able to do a lot more for not just for ourselves, but for others.
Now,
What would happen?
You know?
what do you think we need to do in order to make that happen? Because we're, as a people, are so divided, whether it's, you know, Latinos, Chicano. We can't even come to a term of what we call ourselves.
Exactly. Right. So, I mean, I took the time to educate myself. That's one of the things. So I ended up doing like 13 years in solitary confinement. Right.
Now, let's
So-
go through that real quick. How much time did you actually do in prison?
I did 31 years. Wow. I did 31. I went in at 17.
What year?
This is 1990.
Ooh.
I went in in
I did
1990.
18.
Yeah. And got out 2021.
Oh, dude, you're fresh out.
Mhm. Yes. So, and you know, in my studies, right? Because I had to study outside the curriculum that they give you in schools and all that, because that's also designed to just turn us into the workforce, right? I learned that, you know, a lot of misinformation has always been pushed out there, not by our own, but the powers that be to keep us fragmented and in the way we are, right? And when we learn to see through that, or learn to do the research, you know, not just on our own communities, but also communities that are also affected by as well, just as we have, like, you know, like the Black community. You know, they had to deal with enslavement and all that themselves, right? And although, you know, it's two different ways that we came about and different methods and all. I mean, but you know, for the most part, a lot of the same methods, but
So
they've
you're
done
talking
it.
about you. So you're saying that the government today still keeps our community, Black and brown, marginalized against their bigger picture, which
It's
is
not
white
as
America, right?
it's not as open as it was back in the days.
It's not
But
as blatant.
but when you have redlining, you know, when you have liquor stores popping up in every corner,
you know
and then
what?
you
Touching
have
on
no
that-
wholesome food marts, there's something there. So I'm explaining to them when we talked about the education system. So this is something that it really upset me when I found out about this, because I don't mind you targeting me, because, you know, hey, I've gone against the system, whatever, I'm gonna pay, you know, I'm gonna pay the piper if I come up short, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is, right? But when you sit here and you're attacking innocent souls that have yet to even experience life, that's a coldness that tells me that we have to be just as strategic. So let me explain what it
Yeah,
is.
something you
Okay.
hold on real quick.
Okay.
Sonia,
No,
I
that
seen
is-
you wanted to touch on
That is
that.
correct. Back to Gil's question, like what can we do to come together collectively? We need to heal.
Yes.
We
And I was
need
in
to
the
heal.
Sonia is a healer.
yeah, and I
by
was
the
gonna
way.
also include I'm taking the long road, right? But I was gonna say education.
Education.
We have to continue to educate ourselves, educate one another, and know, you know, because I didn't change on my own. I had good people, you know, in my ear.
Mentors.
That you know, and some that came out of like places where I was like, man, I would have never expected to be talking to you.
Let's just give an example of that.
I'll
This
give
is
you
something-
one of the examples of someone that reached out to me was an Italian. He shared with me why we were in the state that we were in, and obviously he'd also share the word with me, right? But he would give me food for thought that would send me thinking for months, right? And I was like, damn, and you're right. And the minute, look, so I had to learn to break my ego down, because I was real proud. You know what I mean? You couldn't tell me nothing, or if you did, if I'm gonna listen to you, it's gonna be on my terms. So once I broke my ego down and says, you know what, knowledge, wisdom comes from any place, and be able to accept that, but not most importantly, apply it when I could, is when I started growing.
How old were you, Ernie, when you finally one day just? Because I remember the moment when I was like, bing. I remember that moment, bro, very vividly.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you finally realized that life ain't all smoke and mirrors, homie?
Yeah, I was about 38.
I was the
Yeah,
same.
I'm sitting. You know,
about 35.
Yeah, I'm in solitary confinement. I'm looking at my environment, looking at everything that I had been doing. You know, the intentions, right, and just the way my life was playing out. Okay, because I got, you know, since I was a kid, so I left the house when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
Right. But everything I did when I was out there hustling was, you know, I'm gonna get back to my family. I'm gonna make it big and all this other stuff. Right. So I got to the point where I realized, man, no matter what I intended, my life turned out to be nothing. And no matter who I thought I was or what I thought I was, you know what? I couldn't be there even for my family.
Exactly.
And one of the moments I think that hit me the hardest, that sent me thinking about it, was one day I get a letter, and you know they had told me that a diesel hit my sister's car and it tumbled like 8 times. They could have easily died that day, right?
Yeah.
And I'm asking them, hey, did you get the license plate, everything else? No, I'm searching because I want to do something, right? I want to try to solve this on my terms, right? And they didn't have anything. I said, man, that's my worth. No matter what I think I am, right? It's like that's my worth, and that's when I
can only do
started.
so much, right? Because of decisions that you chose,
Yeah.
and the lifestyle that you decided to take. Homie, I'm from Pomona. This was from Pomona. Sonia's from Pomona. So I understand you're because you and I have very similar stories. We chose different, we chose certain paths, homie, and it led us to a life of juvenile hall, LA County prison system, da 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 da. So everybody knows our story, but I want to get Sonia's story because you're from the same environment. Sonia grew up in my neighborhood right there on Park and Olive.
Yeah, right there, Park and Olive.
So I want to know, Sonia, we were talking the other day, and before I'm gonna just let you go, but real quick, we were talking the other day, and I said, hey, remember my homeboy Travieso? Do you remember my homeboy Looney? Do you remember so and so? And she did, and one of my homeboys that we're talking about, he got his head cut off at the border. My other homeboy, he got domed in the head. Another homeboy, he ended up doing like 30 years in prison. And Sonia one time, well, you tell the story real quick without getting too deep, but she realized she was walking with 3 killers.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like years and years later, when how do you I don't know, 30-year-old, 40-year-old Sonia is now realizing like, damn, little 13-year-old Sonia was walking with 3 future killers.
I was, yeah.
And how does that make you feel, Sonia? Like growing up in the neighborhood, like straight up, like we from Pomona, we right here, we being honest.
It's wild. I mean, I think at that time it was the norm, right? For me, it was the norm.
They were just your friends.
They were my friends. All the gang members were my friends.
Yeah.
They were my homies.
Yeah.
Like we were cool with each other. I don't know. They were kind to me.
Yeah.
They respected me. Like
you were the
I
homegirl, Sonia. How could you not?
So, but also like, I think invested myself with school. So I kind of took a different route. You know what I mean? Like, I got myself into books, and I was writing books, and I was playing the flute like a little nerd, you know? So, like the arts, the fine arts for me was what I think it helped me. So I had that in school to kind of, keep me going with the trauma that I was surrounded with, because I grew up with my mom, my dad, and 3 of my siblings. My dad was an alcoholic, so he was pretty absent most of the time, because he had his own trauma, coming from Mexico and dealing with that trauma.
Yeah, that's a lot to do with the family.
Yeah, with the family.
And with habit.
And here's the other thing. My dad didn't know anything about depression or trauma, and like, how do you get services back in that day, right? We talked about this. Right? Even now, our culture, how they speak about therapy, it's like, who needs therapy? That's for crazy people.
Estás loca.
No,
So-
a lot of people always saying, "Oh, that's a white thing,"
Estás
Yeah.
loca.
right? It's like no,
It's not a white thing, guys.
It's a human thing.
It's a human
Dude.
thing. Yeah.
You need therapy is a real thing, homie. I tell everybody when you're acting up. Myself, when I'm acting up, I call my therapist. I make an appointment, so I call Sonia.
I'll check in on him.
Hey,
I'll be
fool.
like, hey,
Can you talk to me for a little bit?
yeah. Did I miss something?
No, she
going
does
on?
too. She's like, fool, you're everywhere. Are you okay? She checks in on me, so thank you for that.
Like real story. So I used to like when I knew guys were gonna go talk to one of the therapists.
Yeah.
And I had questions. I would send them with the question, right? And I'd be like, hey, let me know what they say when you get out. And they would ask, and they always give me the answers. So when I wasn't sure of something, I said, okay, so I'm on the right track, right?
smart.
That's how I used to do all that just to.
So you refer people to therapy now, today?
Yeah.
And
I would look. I would definitely say that. I mean, if we're looking at it from a like I said, gang members perspective, a thug,
Okay,
they're always going to frown on that.
Let's
So take it out of that, right? But as a one person, as a man, oh, definitely,
not a woman.
No,
let's talk to the
I would
man,
say,
the male viewer.
I would
out
say,
there.
I would say definitely, because in the end of the day, although it's expected for us to be able to carry a lot of weight, and a lot of us can.
Because
a lot
these
of us-
fools ain't trying to go to therapy.
Yeah,
dog.
no, and it's
These
true,
fools,
right?
especially these, we're all ex-gang members. A lot of us are fucking bike ride Harley Davidsons now. A lot of us got Lolos. All of our
Mm-hmm.
money's going into buying Dayton's and pinstriping our shit and candy apple this and this and that.
Yeah.
Our
But,
Hainas, hey bro, our Hainas, these single ass foods, all of a sudden you find yourself having an old lady in 2024. You know, homie, this shit is not cheap.
It is not cheap.
It is not cheap. But you know what? But life gets in the way.
Yeah.
Real life gets in the
Yeah.
way. Health, money. But for me, you know, I have all those issues. I have health. I have money problems. I have this, that, and I spaz out. But I'm not big enough to think that I don't need therapy.
Yeah. No, and you're in the minority. And honestly, I would think that you know, like I said, it comes to the pride thing, misdirected pride, right?
The
Because
mindset.
every one of us here needs assistance or had needed assistance at one point or another.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was through therapy or someone like with good counseling or like you said, a mentor earlier, right? Someone has needed guidance, and I know like back in the days, even though some of us were like a little off the hook, you know,
Yeah.
I think most of our parents and all that really tried. These days, it seems like it's falling apart, especially where you can't spank your kids and all that. I'm not advocating for spanking kids, but I do know that some of us, because you know, like I used to tell my parents, right? I go, "There's nothing you could have did with me."
Yeah.
But when it came to my sisters and brothers, you know, all they had to do was look at them or show them the belt, and they were on, you know, on track.
Okay, well,
But,
okay, you know what? I don't mean to cut you off
No, you're
right
good.
there, Ernie, but so we tapped it. Okay, we all know where we fucked up. We all know how many times our parents whooped our ass. We all know where we slipped up. We're all 30s and 40 years old. Half of our viewers, they're not kids. They're not teenagers watching this podcast. So we have real grown people that are sitting here like, dude, we need a real answer, right? This is our community watching us. So what can we do today? Okay, so we're on the same boat. We got a clean slate. What can you do today to start getting your shit back in order? And I'm gonna ask both of you this thing because you're a therapist. I'm sure you get people in your office day in and day out, and you're trying to piece their life back together. So I'm gonna ask you, and then you work in South Central LA on Florence and Western, homie, Scope LA. I'm sure you see every fucking thing that comes through.
And actually, and in order for me to
But
get
what's
to where I
the
got,
solution?
I had to go through the process myself. I had to do like a lot of internal searching and development. I'll even share a story with you, right? But I do believe there has to be two things. For one, you gotta want it, right? And
Really
for
want it.
another, you have to be truthful with yourself.
That's a big one.
Okay.
Be
You gotta be
honest.
honest.
Yes.
And some people don't
You
have
can lie
that
to me,
ability to be
but
honest.
you can't lie to yourself.
You can't lie to yourself. You say you can run game on everyone else.
On that, Gil?
Yeah.
You can lie to me, but you can't lie to yourself, homie.
Yeah. No, and
That's
I'll
a
tell you
real-
like this. So
okay.
I remember when I started, like, because you know we used to use violence as our tool. That was how we were gonna get things done, get our point across, and you know you're gonna listen one way or another, right? But it was always violence was the ultimate, you know, tool, right? And one day I was like, man, you know, I would have these youngsters were acting up, and I'm like, man, these little bastards don't know better, right? But I was getting tired of it, so I would like, hey, you know what? Come here, man. I'm gonna give you action. I'm gonna give you action. Bring a toy with you. You know what I mean? I said, when I get it from you, and then I'm gonna work you. And you know what that, right? So
On the yard.
on the yard, right? I would
Real
get,
yard.
yeah, you know, and I would even,
Not the YouTube yard,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah.
The
And
real
sometimes
yard.
I'm not gonna lie, right? There's times where I would also tell them, hey, bring a friend if you want. I'm gonna give you action, right? And you know, I was real healthy. I was like, you know, you
Bro.
can't see it now because accidents and all took place in age.
Right? And restaurants.
Yeah, in
right?
restaurants, right? Yeah. So, and I started thinking about it.
Yeah.
I said, man, why am I still, you know, so triggered and I'm so willing to resort to violence? And I had that aha moment. It took me back to when I was 12 years old.
That's when your
you know
aha
what?
moment. That's when you said, "Damn," and you just didn't want to be whatever they called you back in the day. All of a sudden, you want to just be Ernie.
No, my aha moment was that I had trauma,
Oh.
and I didn't even know it.
I keep telling you
Yes.
guys, we need
So-
healing and education
Yeah.
for sure. Like you said, we need to start becoming
Sonia,
more
what
aware.
are some of the signs when people? What are some of the signs that people do when you have underlying trauma that you probably don't realize?
There's a lot
Some
of
habits or something.
There's a lot of anger, rage. There's a lot of anxiety, nightmares. Right? People have
Night
nightmares,
Yeah,
sweats?
definitely.
night
Yeah, that's
sweats.
true.
Yeah.
I get that. I wake up tripping. My hand, I'd be like, "Who gonna kill me?"
A lot of what you see with complex PTSD is people are very like reactive,
Yeah.
very reactive, and you can tell it's a trauma response. So it's very easy to pick up on.
And you know
people's
what's
trauma
interesting? So I have a nephew that did I think like 4 tours, you know, in Afghanistan, on active duty as a
Yeah.
Marine, right? And we have discussions, we have conversations, and it turns out that we experience a similar trauma from people, prison and military experience very similar traumas.
And you know who else? Women who've been sexually abused. Also, they show similar statistics as far as complex PTSD, women that have been raped, sexually abused, in comparison to people who have served and, violence, gang members.
Yeah.
You know what, bro? It doesn't matter whether you've been abused, whether you had your ass beat, whether you've been a drug addict, or you've been served with lengthy prison sentences. PTSD is PTSD, homie. How you deal with it is the answer, real quick, because bro, this fool could have got raped. This fool could have he could have seen people's heads blown off. This fool could have done this. It doesn't matter. We're all suffering. The thing is, when you get those moments of anxiety and you want to just fucking lash out and just run for that, it doesn't matter at the end of the day what your trauma is. That's what I don't understand, because my trauma might not be your trauma, but we're still both running to that brick wall head first. So just because one doesn't mean it's greater than the other. Your trauma might be just as much as my trauma. You might have your whoever touching you, and me, I might have been in prison 18 years, but we're both fucked up.
We're not having a competition of whose trauma is bigger than the others,
that's what I'm trying to
right?
say.
That's not the point. The point is,
That's what
how
I'm
do
trying
we
to say.
get to things, and how do we start being real and being honest with ourselves?
I think one of the key things that we also have to do is kind of re-educate ourselves in certain things, especially because a lot of us accept certain things that are not normal as normal now, right?
Yes.
Because we've been desensitized to what's decent, right? And also a lot of our communities have been, kept in, dilapidation, if you will, right? Like to the point where, a lot of us, we're growing up with families, three in the
That's all we know.
household,
That's all we
right?
know.
And we're thinking it's normal when it's
Yeah.
not. Right, but that's
No.
what we need to do to make ends meet, right? And then you have these schools. I was telling someone the other day, I said, I knew schools didn't care because I graduated from junior high to high school, from elementary to junior high with 13 Fs. And they still sent me, it's like
Just
they
to
don't
get
care,
rid of you,
just to
yeah.
get rid of you, right?
Yeah.
And I told them, so that was the quality of the education we were getting, right? But you go, a few blocks down, you see different,
Yeah,
right?
you go to Beverly Hills, homie, and they got some real quality educational. You go to Gary High School, homie, and they're like cutting budgets. And so,
Hey, I
real quick,
graduated from Gary
so
High School.
I went to Gary. Sonia went to Gary. I think you went to Gary too.
Almost.
you?
Okay.
Oh.
You
Yeah.
didn't make it.
I
yeah.
didn't
make it.
You're Fremont?
Yeah,
Simons?
no, Simons. I went
Oh my
Simons.
God, I
You're
was
the Simons.
Simons.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
from Fremont.
Whatever.
Okay, so shout
Okay.
out.
I mean, you're cool today. You're
Yeah.
cool today.
You're okay.
He,
Yeah.
went, he went to Yale, fool.
To Yale.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I tell people
Where's
Penn
the
State.
There you go.
Penn State.
No, but you know what, homie? I want to say that we all come from Pomona, homie. Pomona's a big city. We're all from the south side. And I just want to say congratulations to you, Sonia. Congratulations to you, Ernie.
Thank you.
That no matter what you fools have gone through, that you guys made it out the mud, and now you guys are in a position in life, homie, to give back to the community. And people, they're gonna love you fools for this, homie. They already love Sonia and Ernie. I'm introducing them to you because let me tell you guys a quick story how I met Ernie. We're in the level 4 yard, homie, in prison. I was straight tecato. Ernie had already cleaned up his life. By the time I met Ernie had already cleaned up his life, and like he was already trying to. What are you doing now? He was doing that in prison. He was the MAC chairman. If you know, you know. He was the MAC chairman, homie. He was like, whenever there was a problem, they would get to Ernie. Ernie would get to all the MAC reps. The MAC reps would come at us. You guys already know the drill. But when I met Ernie, he was already in elevated status, right? And he was a lifer in prison. And I didn't see his vision back then because I didn't have a vision of myself. So how can I see his?
Right.
And I was, like I said, homie, I was tecato. He didn't know. Eventually, I went off the yard because I ended up getting cancer. And I ended up my own journey fighting my cancer, and then eventually that led me to sober up, and I got out of prison and I remarried and blah blah blah. That didn't work. Fast forward, homie, all these years later, this fool runs into some fool on Instagram called Fool News Network, and he's looking at that motherfucker and he sees that looks like my homeboy fucking Fly. Is that Moscow right there? And he's like, nah, it can't be because Moscow's a tecato. Moscow didn't have no fucking sopas in his locker. I was begging fools for shots on the tier. Ask my homeboy Ernie, he'll tell you. And I had no shame because I'm, like I said, the same level of hustle that I put into my food news, that was the same level of hustle. I got the tracks to show it on my arm.
Put into your veins.
I put it into my veins, and then I just switched addictions. Now my carga is the internet, right?
So now you're a workaholic.
This fool, but lame ass joke, but imagine Ernie's face when he sees me on fucking Instagram, and he's like, "Holy shit, is this mother?"
No, so I had seen him. I wasn't sure if it was him, right? Then I'm in the meeting. It's like the end of the year meeting with it was like 12 different organizations from all California there that, you know, we nonprofits that do a lot for the community. They, you know, so we're all in the same space. And one of the guys, you know, I'll throw a shout out to him out there. It's Ted from San Diego.
Shout out
you know,
to Ted, homie.
Yeah, he said, he was like, you know what, we need to get at this guy. You know what, he has a following. You know, he has good content. It's not, you know what I mean. It's like it's always trying to, you know, try to reveal and expose stuff that's not right. So I'm looking at him. At first, I'm like, I wasn't sure what he was talking about, right? And then when I realized he was talking about you for sure, I said, hey, look, I know him. Yeah. I go, I'm not going to sit here and, you know, and tell you like, hey, you know, I'm going to get him here. But you know what? I'll give you my word. I'm going to reach out to him.
Yeah.
So I tried to get at one of our boys that knew him also.
Friend,
that he had already been in contact with you. So I'm trying to get a hold of him, tell him, hey, to get a hold of Moscow. But he's like dragging his feet. So I was like, man, so why the hell am I going to depend on this cat when I can get at him myself? He's from the town, right? And we you know what I mean? This is, you know. So,
shout out to them for some circle, homie, but might as well just get him yourself. You
right?
Have to pee on your hat.
Yeah. So you know what I mean. So I get at Moscow the next day, right? And man, right there we communicated. You know, he's came down to you know, to our space a couple of times, and he sees what we actually do. And you know, and I'm hoping that, you know, we get to the point where we can, you know, when we unite again with all these organizations to bring him on and say like, look, you know what? And you're the one that mentioned them, so you know we got to give you credit for that too. And you know, and that's the idea,
Isn't that
right?
crazy though, Gil?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's dope.
That's how it works, man.
Bro, I'm starting to see that Food News' reach is fucking very, very far, homie. From like New York and even England. I know foods right now that are like, hey, Mike, we out here in England supporting you.
Hey, England.
Shout out to them sick ass fucking New England foods, homie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
no,
that's
yeah,
real.
homie, the reach is far, and I appreciate that you did reach out, and I think I went the next day. I didn't hesitate.
Yeah. No, he says, hey, yeah, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
He called me
And here
Thursday,
we
I was
are.
over there Friday.
Yeah.
So let me throw in a question in here.
Yeah.
So at what point I do agree with the healing, with the education, right? I definitely do agree with that. But at what point do we start taking responsibility for a lot of the actions that are destroying our communities and stuff like that?
Oh,
Well, that is personal
I
responsibility.
think we're
You
taking- I
taking
think
responsibility
what
for
we're doing
educating
here.
yourself and for healing yourself.
Okay.
so I'll share
You know
this.
what I mean?
I'll share this as well. So obviously, Moscow knows too that I used to run a lot of the groups, right? I used to run a lot of the groups. I would set them up and have someone else, you know, facilitate them. But I was like hands on and everything because I wanted to make sure that people that were seeking to better themselves got that opportunity, right? And I had a lot of them telling me, like, well, you know what? I didn't know this is all I knew. Right? I go,
Yes.
this is all I knew. I grew up in the hood, or my parents didn't have this and that.
Sound like Fly.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
A lot of us sounded like fucking broken
so
record.
you know, and you know what, and it's true, right? You know, because you know those are like contributing factors to who you become,
Absolutely.
right? Your environment dictates a lot, you know, because you're highly impressionable as kids. But I told him, I go, when did you realize that was wrong? He goes, oh, about 17. I go, and that's when it became your issue.
That's right.
You can't blame anyone else, you know, and you know.
hear that, Fly?
You know what, homie? At the end of the day, you bear your own cross, homie. And you need
Yeah.
to carry.
Yeah.
You need to. Nobody's gonna heal your trauma but you. I can't go and heal your trauma. You might be my brother, and you might got whatever happened to you out of your life, but I can't heal you, homie. You need to heal yourself. So you can sit there and blame me all you want. I need to fucking fix my own shit before I try to help you, homie. So I'm just saying.
No, but I
Yeah.
will say this, kind of add to that and says you can't heal yourself if you don't know better. But that's why you have therapists. That's why you have, whether it's professional help or elders, or you know, even if it's community members, mentors, and all that. But we have
A lot
to
of
be
people
willing.
say, "Oh, I don't have." Okay, well,
Books.
I don't have insurance, right? I'm unemployed right now, or they don't even have Medi-Cal. So
You don't
what
need
do
to-
you do
look,
when you have no resources?
In
Let's
this
just say
age
there's
and
people out
time,
there that really
look,
don't.
Yeah, no, but let me tell you this: in this age and time,
That's right.
these things are like little computers.
Okay.
There's
So
resources out there
Everywhere.
You don't want
that
to
you
hear
don't
that. So
even
you
know.
don't want to hear that. You don't want
There's
to hear
really
that.
very little excuse.
You read,
Yeah.
you pick up a book, you educate yourself, you know? You go research what it is, like you elevate, you change your mindset. That's what it is. It's a shift in a
You have
mindset,
to
and
be
that's where the community
tired.
needs to.
You have to be tired, dog.
You have to
know
shift your
what?
paradigm.
I'm gonna tell you how.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you how I changed. Well, first of all, I had cancer. I was paralyzed, and I was chained to a bed that I couldn't even move. I couldn't even run from. They could unlock all my shit and be like, "Go ahead, run, motherfucker." And I'll be like, "Fuck you, motherfucker. You ain't right for that one." You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, that's how down I was, homie. And then on top of that, like, the pain when they say, like, when you felt, if you've ever had your spine severed, then you know real pain, bro. When they say what's your scale and you're fucking crying and you're like 15 and it only goes to 10, the pain scale only goes to 10, but you want to tell them double that shit up. That's when you lose your faith. I lost my faith behind my illness, bro. I was mad at God. I straight when they said don't ever cuss God out, bro. I called God every name in the book. That's how, like, sometimes they say that's the one thing He don't forgive. Well, I don't know, homie. Well, that's where you have to forgive yourself. You know what I mean? Because if you can't forgive yourself for cussing God out to that extreme, then how you expect the world to forget? Like, God, I'm just saying it
Yeah.
all ties in together, homie.
No,
You
and
gotta
honestly-
but it starts with yourself.
Spirituality is a big piece.
Sonia,
of it.
Yeah,
do
but
you have
also
to
some-
forgive yourself first before you seek help?
I think forgiveness is a big part of healing, for sure. You know what I find a lot with my patients is that forgiveness is sometimes the hardest thing for them to do. Like, they can forgive other people, but it's like the personal thing of like really forgiving yourself and like giving yourself that grace and letting things go. And people have a hard time with
And I
that.
think that was like one of my hardest things.
Oh yeah,
Right,
especially men.
hmm And I think because I was I figured I did a lot. I did a lot of wrong, right?
Yeah.
And so I got to the point, it's like, you know what? Can I truly be forgiven for that, right? Obviously, because I went to prison. I took lives.
That's hard,
and I
homie,
didn't care
forgiveness.
even in
That's-
prison.
that's hard.
Yeah, and I didn't care even while I was in there for a long time, hurting others as well, right? So I had to deal with that, and finally, it was my faith that helped me through it, right? To where it said, like, well, you know what? If I'm really believing in my faith, then I gotta believe that I've been forgiven for this,
That's right.
right? And I gotta take it instead of second guessing or using my own judgment like I tend to do, right? So I said, you know what? So I'm gonna take it in faith. So I began the process, and once I made that decision, it seemed like it broke the grip it had in me spiritually.
Yes.
And I said, and
Can
the
we-
process began.
Can we change the subject?
Yep.
And okay, faith is cool and all that. Go to church, homie.
Yeah.
All that. But hey, Holmes.
God is very
let's-
important.
No, let's talk about some real shit going on in South Central. You're from South Central and in Pomona.
Oh, it's-
Fentanyl. You see it daily. So you
Look.
had. I mean, let's talk about it.
That's a problem.
Fentanyl is a big problem in this country, and I know because
That
two
is a problem.
2 years ago, I was taking over 10 fentanyl pills a day. On top of, I was spending over $100 a day on my doctor was giving me morphine, 30 milligrams a day, 3 times a day, plus 6 Norco 10s, plus I was buying 10 fentanyls out on the street every day, $100, right? And then whatever else I wanted to do on top of that, Narotins, and I was just taking out like a whole cocktail of shit for years, bro.
You're like a walking pharmacy, huh?
I didn't see no end in sight. I didn't think I could ever get off because I would try to get off and it didn't matter because my urges were so strong. But I didn't understand that you can't just sober up by the will alone. You need therapy. You need NA. You need a sponsor. There's a lot of things that fall into place when you really want to sober up. So
Yeah, a lot of people try to do
Speak to these
it. A lot
guys.
of people try to do it on their own, and like my hats off to people who can do it on their own, right, by themselves.
There's very few in between.
Absolutely, we need support, right? Like
Support
support
system is very
groups,
important.
AA, NA, or your church group, or connecting with mentors, right? Therapy, exercise. There's like so many different things that we
hiking,
can do for
nature,
them.
right?
Healing trauma, though, because look, why are people using drugs?
To get away, to forget,
To
'cause it
escape
feels good.
themselves because they want to
I
avoid,
keep
because they
going
want
and
to
going.
numb themselves.
And it's interesting because I would tell guys, right, like I would be talking to in the yard, and I was always try to, encourage people to be the best they can or try to, because we needed to shake the dungeon. It's not normal, right?
Yeah.
And NA says, right, that once an addict, always an addict, or one day at a time and stuff. And so people were like, man, there's no way I can do all this, right? So I said, look, okay, forget everything else. Focus on something you love more. That's going to keep you focused. If you can do that, focus on something you love more than yourself. That can keep you focused, right?
That's kind of what you
Hold
did.
on, homie.
Yeah, that's kind of what you
Can we
did.
zoom in on this because I focus on this. This became my addiction. And why you think you food as many pills I was taking? That's how many reels I put a day. No lie. Why you think you? Because I was taking
love
fucking
it.
19 pills a fucking day. So I'm hitting. My addiction became instead of just taking a pill to feel good. You know what makes me feel good, homie? Making everybody out there fucking smile, laugh, fucking in the comments. I love people meeting each other. I love that I build a community, bro. I'm a pioneer.
You
I'm
like
a pioneer in this
You are.
shit.
Yeah.
I am.
You
They
are.
called me
You're-
a pioneer the other day, and I was like, I thought a pioneer chicken, but I was like, nah, that's not it.
Yeah.
And then I thought, like, what does a pioneer mean? Sonia, what does a pioneer mean to
Yeah,
you?
you're a trailblazer. That's what it is. It's a trailblazer. It's like doing something that has never been done before, and that's kind of what we're doing. I mean, you are too.
American
You
Troll is a
are,
pioneer.
You know,
You're
so
a
like,
pioneer.
so congratulations to
pioneer.
all of you.
You're
I mean,
the pioneer.
I mean, it's the truth, right? That's what
Pioneers
you are.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true. Though.
Trailblazers.
It's true.
You know what, though, homie? That shit really made me think because for I was the first one out here, homie. Before me, now there's Telefundo, Telefutura, Unifusión, Eyewitness Foods, 12 o'clock Food News, Food this, Food that, Food you, fuck you.
I don't know.
right?
You better go back in my history.
I'm just saying.
I had Cholo Vision like 4 years ago, fool.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like
Television.
you see the movement of this news thing because these people are so hungry for something different.
Something different, something not scripted, something real, something authentic, right? Like, yeah.
And I'm just happy to be a part of, I was inspired by Hugh Hauser, so shout out to that. They call me Fu Hauser. And you know what? I'm glad that I inspired people out there. I'm 47 years old. I got like 6 songs under my belt today. I went today to fucking write a song. I thought I had a hit. And I went over there and I spent $300 and that shit sucked ass. Oh my God, bro. I was so embarrassed. But you know
Well, you know
what?
what?
Hey.
I don't give up because,
I'ma tell you what.
you know what?
That's how we learn. It's
Hey.
never
Seven
a
ain't bad,
thing.
homie.
Hey, you know how many times Thomas Edison failed before he
There you
actually
go.
came out with the light bulb?
You don't ever fail. That's what I was telling
1,000
you.
something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
And you know what? I needed this right after because I was feeling kind of some type of way when I walked out, and that's another thing. That's a real emotion that I felt. I got so
Sure.
upset because, dude, for one, I don't got $300 to be throwing like that. Number one. Number two, it's like when you think like, damn, I'm 6 for 6 right now, and all of a sudden I throw this one, I'm thinking it's gonna be a hit, and it just.
I mean,
didn't-
it was a beautiful song.
It was a
You
good
did
try.
great, but that was a hard song.
And it
He
shows you what
told
you could
me.
do different.
Exactly.
Right?
But like I'm
It
saying,
shows you what you could
fools
do
out there,
different as
homie,
well.
do not give up, dog. Look at Sonia. I'm not saying like, Sonia went through her struggles, homie, but she came out. Sonia, she's a licensed therapist now. She's a healer. She will sit there and go in your soul and take out the bad stuff and throw it out. And if you swallow it back up, that's on you, homie. She did her job. It's your job to keep it out.
Yeah.
My homie Ernie, this right here, the 31 years in prison. I only did 18. I can't even imagine slapping another fucking 10 years on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever amount. I'm just saying, like, dude, congratulations to you, homie,
Yeah.
for
No,
getting
thank
out
you.
and doing
Thank
the
you.
work.
Yeah.
And Sonia, thank
And
you
it's not
for
over.
continuing to inspire us, homie. So, okay, let's talk about Pomona now, dog.
Pomona.
Where'd you grow up at, Sonia? Tell us what school you went to. Tell us what you learned from the city. How you feel when you meet other people from your neighborhood that are out here doing the damn thing. Put it out there, homegirl. Shit.
Yeah, Pomona. So I grew up in like the south side of Pomona by In-N-Out, right in the
Yeah.
corner, literally, of Olive and Park.
Yeah.
So there was always a lot of like activity there, and that's where I grew up. I went to school, Philadelphia Elementary School. Then I went to Simons, and then I went to Gary High. Graduated from Gary High, class of 1995.
Sonia was the class. Were you class president?
Yeah.
She was class president. She was head cheerleader.
No, no. Well,
Dude.
I was a cheerleader, but you know what? I had to drop out my senior year
Mecha.
because I got pregnant. You know, I was a teen mom. That's another one of my things, right? Like I
First
was
runner-up, homecoming queen.
Yeah.
All that. Sonia was like Lisa Simpson of the real world, homie. She was an overachiever.
I was a little, yeah. I like school. That's how, that's
So did
my
you do that
escape.
because you just okay? That was your escape.
That
So
was
you were
my
doing it
escape.
to run away from something.
Well, look, school was where I found like my safe haven. That's where I learned. That's where I got into the books, and that's where I could practice the like fine arts, right? Like the writing and the playing instruments, the acting, all of that. So I was able
The
to
arts.
the
The
arts.
arts.
Yeah, I was able to get that from
school.
school growing up because it filled me there. That was my happy
So
place.
you were
Because
like
then I
part
would
of the
go
after
to
school programs and all that. Like,
yeah, and then I would go to home, and it was different,
Yeah.
because my dad and just the issues around the house.
yeah,
so
the things that were going on around your house, you felt more inspired at school, obviously.
absolutely,
Okay.
because I was not inspired at home. That's for sure.
And what were some of the things, without getting into too much detail? Obviously, you could tell us whatever you want. But
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you feel that you were missing, or some of the things that were lacking, or now that as an adult, what do you see looking back?
You know what? You see a lot of generational trauma. My mom dealing with her own thing, trying to raise 4 kids on her own, and then my dad not being present, dealing with his own depression, his own trauma. So what is he doing? He's taking off and,
So you think a lot of that
drinking
a lot of that generational trauma was being passed down to you unwillingly?
Of course, it does. And it
Okay.
doesn't feel fair when we have to be the ones to correct it, right? Because we didn't cause it, but it's the reality of it. And so you can't ignore it. You have to see how what your parents did affected you. You
Give
keep
us,
it
give
real.
us an example, Sonia. What generational trauma sounds like?
Okay, so
Like, let's say I'm a little kid and I something.
generational trauma sounds like, let's say I grew up in a household and let's say my mom was always yelling, always screaming because she was depressed and never got assistance for it, right? So that became a learned behavior. Oh, I see it. Oh, is that the way I'm supposed to treat men? Oh, is that the way I'm supposed to be, right? And then guess what? I grow up and now I'm like,
Doing the
going
same
off on my
thing.
husband and doing the same thing. That's a perfect example of generational trauma and stuff that just goes untreated, unseen, like especially within our community, right? Within the
Do
Latino
you think
culture.
that us in our generation are realizing that a lot of these things just ain't cutting it anymore? So do you think
Yes.
that a lot of us are trying to find a different outlet?
Yeah, that's why we're here. That's why we're speaking
Can
on
we get
it.
an applause for that, Gil?
Yeah. So
That's a
Gil,
big
good
time
job.
applause,
Yes.
homie.
I mean, yeah, we have to keep speaking on it. We have to keep like not here. Like
Little
we have
things-
to come up here, guys.
Little things that we say growing up. Do you guys all remember when you were a little kid home and you come home from school and you wanted to be a scientist because you had Bill Nye the Science Guy perform at your auditorium and you want to be the next science guy? And what does your mom say? Estás loco. Ponte a limpiar el cuarto. Ve. Dale de comer al perro.
And again, that's
Estás
a
loca.
perfect example, though,
Right?
of generational trauma because our parents came over here to what? The American dream. Right? And so,
Better circumstances.
yeah. So,
So
like,
when a parent tells you, estás loco, what do you think that does to a child when he comes in and his eyes are because he just wants to be the next astronaut and he's coming home to tell his mommy, Mom, guess what I learned today? I want to be an astronaut. And the first thing his mommy says, estás loco.
well, it's like a,
Ve ponte a limpiar el cuarto.
That could be
Sometimes
very
it's-
What does that do
discouraging.
to a child?
it's
Sonia?
very discouraging, yeah. And it makes you feel like, oh, shit, I'm crazy.
So look, let me share something with you, right? Because I think I had that little one of those moments.
You felt that?
I was laughing when you said that she played the clarinet or the flute, right? Because I tried that. I've always wanted to play the saxophone. Since I was a kid, I got a thing that I want to learn how to play the saxophone,
Yeah.
right? So in Simon's, I took a music class to see if I could play the saxophone. The instructor looked at me, says, "Now you're too little," and gave me a trumpet. Right,
See?
that killed my
A
dream.
perfect example,
That killed
yeah.
my dream. To this day, I've been thinking like, "Oh, you bastard! I could have played the saxophone." Right?
Right? Yeah, but you don't
But
want to
it's
play.
true. That's
You
what
want to
happened.
play the clarinet. You don't want to play the saxophone.
Words are really powerful. You know, if I could
I
say
wanna be a
something is
saxophone.
To a
like,
child. Oh,
we,
yeah.
we have to be
Vice
very
versa.
aware of how we speak to our children, how we speak to others, how we speak to ourselves, right? I always tell you, don't say that.
Yeah, you do.
Don't say that. You know,
Yeah.
and it's just because we are declaring. You're like decreeing things when you speak. So speak good, speak positive.
Yeah.
Because one thing is to say it, but when you speak it, you hear it. And when you hear it, you start to believe it. And when you start to believe it, you start to do it. And it's all cause and effect,
That's
right?
cognitive behavioral therapy, right? Like your
I
thoughts.
didn't know that, but I know that much. homie.
Well, like your thoughts, right? And what you speak, if you say it enough, you're going to
Believe it.
feel that way. You're going to believe it, and then you're going to feel that way,
When
and
you
then you're going
believe
to
it,
act
then you're gonna
that
do
way.
it.
It's like the commercials. All of them are designed to influence you. Everything else. A lot of individuals don't see how a lot of that stuff that's thrown back at them, how their thoughts are not even their thoughts.
Yep.
You can ask them like, "Hey, why do you feel this way? Why do you believe that?"
You know why?
Conditioning.
Exactly. They've
We
been
put- I
conditioned
don't know if it
through.
was you, Sonia, when we first started talking, or if it was my therapist that had told me about this, but she sat there and told me that we put ourselves down so much during the day. Like, how many times do you look in the mirror and you're like, you know, you're fucking ugly today, or oh, your hair's all messed up, or oh, you're
Caller, hello.
oh, what's up, homie?
Oh, there's a caller.
Hey,
we'll
what's
touch back
up?
on that.
Yeah.
What's up, big dog? Welcome to the
cracking, man? How
Flyboy
you
Inc.
doing?
broadcast. We're out here with Ernie Serrano and Sonia G, homie. You got a question, big dog?
For sure. What's cracking? Ernie and Sonia and American Cholo and
How
the
you
whole
doing,
gang,
man?
man.
Hello.
What's cracking, fool? I recognize this fool.
Hey, check
Hi.
this out.
Yeah.
What's cracking? Flyboy. What's happening with you, my brother?
What's up, homie? I appreciate the
So
call every
look,
time. Yeah.
Sonia,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question as you're a licensed therapist, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I appreciate your service. I got a family member who suffers from anxiety disorder.
Okay.
So I take her at least once a month to her clinic and stuff. So I'm always in tune with shit like that, right?
Okay.
But let me ask you a question, because I did some, and I don't mean no disrespect to anybody, any type of therapist, but I did some investigating, and not only investigating, but I did some like behavioral science on my own, right?
Okay.
And let me ask you a question. So a licensed psychologist or a therapist, they can have psychopathy themselves and still be allowed to work in that type of field, correct?
Well, what do you think? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Experience.
Go
they
ahead,
can.
Sonia.
I mean, we've got people up everywhere who have psychopathy, you know, and who are like narcissists and stuff. So they're
Right.
everywhere. They're in the judicial system. They're everywhere. So yeah.
Exactly. Speaking on the judicial system, like what's going on I don't know. I'm 48 years old. So I was born in the 70s. I didn't get to start knowing like things until like about politics and the characteristics and the behavioral things until like Trump came along and shit. No disrespect to that motherfucker.
Hey, don't get on my trompito.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No. It's all good.
Okay.
But look, so
Yeah.
these people, and I'm not saying like people like Alexandria. I'm Puerto Rican, so people like Alexandria Cortez, she's Puerto Rican. I think she's a psychopath, to be honest with you. And I did some research on her and other people just in the Democratic and the Republican Party. And you got a lot of psychopaths. These psychopaths make decisions for society without seeing the bigger picture.
That is correct.
And their end goal is basically their own egos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we
So,
know that.
with
Yes.
that- yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I'm just kind of like clarifying and kind of validating what you're saying. You're right.
She's like, true that,
Right.
true that.
True that.
True that.
True that.
No
homie.
doubt.
Well, thank you for calling, homie.
Hey, hold on. One more thing right
What's
quick,
up?
brother. One more thing right
Yeah.
quick. Gil been talking about making a change, and I appreciate you, Gil. I know you're listening, brother. But we have Sonia. Let me ask you this right quick. This is very
Sure.
important. So
199 in the
I
question.
read something on the internet, right? And it says that a couple of doctors were saying, I don't know if the man is setting this up, white people or whatever, right? I'm not blaming on white people, but they're saying that
I
some
seen a
behavioral
white person
science,
eat their boogers today.
some,
on the
some
internet,
behavioral
so I don't know.
scientists,
Behavioral
some behavioral scientists or whatever, they're saying that psychopathy comes mostly from the African American community and the Latino community. What do you think about that? That they did a statistic and they found that
I think that's a
people
bunch
of
of
color-
BS. That's what I think.
okay,
Yeah, it's a bunch of BS, but yeah, there's a lot of research,
but
and
we
people
could-
can twist the research any way they want to. I mean,
Yeah,
we can all.
we can look, dog. We can sit there and go down a rabbit hole about what you believe and what she believes.
Sure.
We're talking about therapy right here. We're not talking about like politics like that. So Spencer, but we're gonna take the next call. Cool, Big Gil, and that shit. Next caller, what's up, homie? Flyboy Inc. in the house, dog. What's cracking? If you want to get another person in, or...
Yeah, they got to take like a minute, but some will go like 2 hours, bro.
Nah, it's fine. I appreciate the call. No disrespect
Yeah,
to the
no,
caller.
yeah, I
Of course.
appreciate it
You know,
for
we
sure.
start touching on
I
politics.
hope I didn't sound
homie.
rude. I was just kind of trying to.
Oh no, that was
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
that was some great questions.
Okay,
he had.
yeah.
No, he really had some real good
He
questions.
did. It was a genuine. Like
We got-
people
we got-
really
yeah.
do believe.
We got one
those.
super chat over here. Shout out to Full News Network and the American Cholo Studio. Let's get it. Appreciate that, West Coast Graffiti.
Thank you, West Coast Graffiti, homie. One of the boys. We've been on the podcast right here, so
He's got to step his game up. according to
we're
Flyboy.
gonna end it because it's already. We don't want to drag it on, but you know, I wish we could take more callers, but I just want to say I forgot what I was talking about before the caller came in, but I just want to say that if you fools are seeking therapy, it's not that hard, homie. Get at your local insurance. Get at your insurance. If you're on Medi-Cal, call your Medi-Cal. They'll give you.
Can I mention something
Yeah,
real
go
quick?
for it.
So, real quick, I want to let you guys know, whoever's on right now, we have a podcast called Con Amor, Your Therapist Friend, and we record in both English and Spanish, okay? With my co-host, Nenia de Leon Figueroa. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist, and it's all mental health information. We're just educating. We're wanting everybody to have more of that awareness. So if you don't have insurance, it's all free. Go listen to it.
Where
Check
can
us
where
out.
can they find it exactly?
It's available on all podcast platforms, and like you just do a real quick Google search and it'll pop up.
One more time, the name?
The name is Con Amor, Your Therapist Friend. So there's a lot of really good topics there, you guys. And then if you guys want to check out my website for therapy, it's www.soniagilfuzlcsw.com.
There you go.
And as an added bonus, I'll say for those of you that can't have yet to muster the bravery to reach out to a therapist, find something that you like to do that's positive, that takes you away, right? Like you do with your art. Why with your art? Because I have a cousin that does that as well, the solo dodo tattoos as well, right? And that's like therapeutic for them. You know, and I used to do that. I used to love to write. I used to love to do so grab onto something that can take you out of that
Do
fog,
multiple
that darkness. Yeah, exactly.
Draw.
Create-
Go
You know,
Yeah.
whatever
for a
works
walk,
for you, but
exercise.
do something positive. I like to
know?
tell people the PCPs, right? Positive, constructive, and productive. You can't go
Not the
wrong.
Sherm stick.
Yeah, not the Sherm stick, the other ones.
Shout
The
out,
other
Mo.
ones.
Shout out, Mo. Just gifted 5 American Cholo memberships. I'm gonna give those out this week.
That's right.
homie. So shout out to you fools, homie. Pomona in the house. Shout out
you,
to
guys.
Gil, homie. Thank you for
Thank
putting
you,
us
Gil.
on,
Thank you for
homie.
having
Appreciate
us.
you,
Shout
bro.
out to Killer Kush, homie. You fools already know every time. Much love to all you fools, homie. And
We out.
you fools already know. Q.
To the next.